My name is Pepto Dismal, and I'm your horror host tonight to talk about how the Lords of Salem made all my film fantasies come true. No one was more ecstatic than me when one of my high school crushes, Rob Zombie, transferred his creativity from creepy, vulgar, industrial metal and put it to film. House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects were perfect carnivals of gore and obscenity that could have easily been one of his music videos. And I'll probably end up talking about one of those in a future webisode, as no one loves senseless murder as much as me. But the Lords of Salem breaks away from his early work of Technicolor blood exploitation and into independent art house meets satanic panic.
You are the Dragon Lord Satan!
The fact of the matter is, I love Satan, and I fucking love witches, and the two haven't packed punches to audiences since the Middle Ages. Exorcism reigns king in religious horror, and you'll hear no complaints from me. Whether we're talking old school Catholic demonology or Bible-thumping evangelicals chasing the spirits out, sign me up. But no one touches witches ever since Hocus Pocus and Harry Potter made us love that shit. Witches have been typecasted as hippies with crystals and patchouli, but I want black-robed grimoire-toting banshees who sold their soul to Satan in a blood sacrifice. And that's exactly what we get with the Lords. In the opening 5 minutes, Rob Zombie lets us know what we all knew was true to begin with. There were Satan-worshipping witches in Salem, and they were hard. They were also crazy, and naked, and had a goat. So I'm in. We flash to present-day Salem where we follow around Mrs. Zombie, a recovering heroin addict and late-night radio DJ with one of the coolest movie apartments I've seen. What carries this movie from start to finish is the ambiance that's seamlessly molded throughout. Everything fits, from the wallpaper to the runes to her furry Muppet jackets, and especially to the song that calls forth memories of summoning Satan himself. The song that rocks Salem begins the downward spiral for Mrs. Zombie. Unable to stabilize reality and perfectly horrifying demonic visions, she returns to drugs and submits to her neighboring witch's control. While a local historian and Mrs. Zombie's friend attempt to pull her back into focus, the story cranks to an 11 and shit hits the fan. We're talking demonic ghouls, religious effigies, and parasitical fetuses. If Satan's possession means entering an alternate universe of Basque architecture and David Lynch monsters, then Satan, I am willing. Take this soul and let's get weird. Once again, I can't emphasize enough how the score and cinematography that shapes the tone makes this movie. It's definitely not as prolific as The Shining, but you can just tell with certain panning shots and color corrections that Rob Zombie tips his goth cowboy hat to Stanley Kubrick. And it works. But the dialogue that's used in the ceremony sequences is truly chilling, and it's delivered solely by powerfully real, mature women. Sometimes powerfully real, naked, mature women. I take that back. There's a ton of old naked Scream Queen action, and that too is shocking and fantastic. In fact, how much nudity can you instantly recall in horror that transcends the bonerific shots of fake tatas that clog up a storyline? Not much, huh? The religious imagery is the cherry on top because much like the nudity, it is punctuated and hitting. What I find to be particularly fantastic is how he managed to juggle completely opposite timelines in history without one or the other lacking substance or being overwrought. So many horror movies with century-old flashbacks tend to drop either the past or the present. Whether it's a lack of budget or overambitious commitments, one of the time periods ends up being shit and hollow. The Lords of Salem was obviously made on the cheap, but don't worry, its zippers aren't caught on camera. It just means that his production assistants didn't spend thousands of dollars on Renaissance fair props and instead made the actors carry the scenes. And it worked, because this is easily everyone's best film. Rob Zombie shows immense control in building tone and terror, and while I'll never hold art house over trashy horror, Zombie shows range and depth that, frankly, I didn't know he had. Mrs. Zombie gives the performance of her career by proving that she can be more than a blood-soaked cartoon character, and ironically, became a true scream queen for me in a movie that reintroduces us to the talented women that influenced generations of horror. Meg Foster from They Live, Patricia Quinn from Rocky Horror Picture Show, Judy Geeson from Horror Planet, Dee Wallace from The Howling, Barbara Crampton of Reanimator and From Beyond, Flo Lawrence from Don't Answer the Phone, and Maria Conchita Alonso from Predator 2 return to the big screen and are impeccable. It's easy to write women off in horror as a pair of tits or obvious victims, and trust me, plenty of lazy directors and writers do. Rob Zombie honored these scream queens by turning them into perpetrators and his wife into the satanic Virgin Mary, while avoiding unnecessary tropes and pitfalls that alienate women from horror. You want more chicks to love horror? How about not having them all have ditzed out dialogue, 10-hour styled hair, implants, and zero survival or life skills? Thanks so much for tuning in to me splooging all over Rob Zombie. And if anything you just saw compelled you to submit to Satan, hit the like and subscribe button below.